almost just got water all over myself. How we doing, everybody? Welcome to Reconnected for this week. I think this is the closest I've ever cut an announcement. Just about 2 minutes ago, I just posted the last announcement for the week that I'm posting before our show. Kind of a cool one, too. Especially if you are a Monty Python fan, like I am. What's going on, Dave? Happy to see you. I hope your Thursday's going well. It has been an interesting day. I worked a real long shift for work this morning, and then this afternoon I met up with another one of my labels to have one of my interviews that I post on the channel all the time, and that is going to be going up soon, probably about a week and a half. I've already got a few things filmed that are going up. I got another interview going up tomorrow for everybody. We'll get into that in just a little while, but it's been a really interesting week of physical media, and I feel like this week has this weird feeling in the announcements. Like everything is very like classic. There's a whole lot of oldies getting released right now, and that's a good thing. I mean, I guess it depends on your taste, but yeah, this is a really good week for classic film and for films that have never been released previously, and for people that appreciate some of the older type of titles. Now, I normally have a guest every other week on the show, and I didn't have one last week, and I had one scheduled for this week, and the guest caught COVID, and they will be back soon. But it is a perfect segue to bring up just everybody staying safe. Like, I know that this gets talked about everywhere, but there are so many people that just pretend like everything's great out there. I've had more friends catch COVID in the last 10 days than in the rest of the pandemic combined, I think. It has been a rough couple weeks on that front. Some of my closest friends caught it. Mike from Grindhouse just sent out an email half an hour ago stating that he has COVID and most of the staff at Grindhouse has COVID, so they're not going to be shipping anything over the next few days, which is another reminder to tell everybody just to stay calm. I just like Dead Sea Life says in the comments here, stay calm. Oh, I read that wrong. I thought it was fitting my agenda. He says phone lines are open, call now. Man, you know what? I might one of these days just get some of you guys on here. Lissa says my youngest sister has mono. Ouch. I thankfully have never had it, but man, some of the people I know that have said that it's awful. Sardis says we need COVID sales to get us through it. I completely get that. Yes. Matt is here live. That's rare. What's going on, Matt? Yeah, it is. Like I said, it's an interesting week. Just stay safe out there. Not a whole lot of huge, like groundbreaking news recently, but I think we're going to get some of that in the next couple weeks. Some of the announcements that I know are coming tomorrow and next week are some really good items. So keep your eyes peeled for there. And we'll be talking about some of those next Thursday and then some the following Thursday. I'm super curious about the rest of the partner label announcements coming on August 1st. I think 2 or 3, but man, it is looking to be a fairly expensive fall. If you are into so many of these releases, it's gonna be rough. John's at work, but I'm glad you're here. Flickering Waves, what's going on, Terry? Good to see you. I am excited to share some of these, so let's get right into it. All right. So Second Sight has announced that they are releasing Bull from 2021. I don't know a whole lot about this one, but it appears to be sort of a crime revenge thriller type story, which I love. I'm looking forward to this. This has surprisingly great reviews, so curious to see what they could do for something like this. They seem to do, a lot of older films, but then they'll pepper in, 1 or 2 fairly modern films. And this one is very modern. This reminds me of like when they released Host last year. So I hope that this is one that people are interested in, because Second Sight, they do just incredible work. Sardis still has 2 partner label titles to finish. What 2 do you got left? Man, I need to get on it. I've only watched a couple. I'm the opposite. Flip that around. I got mine very late, though. I think you had yours and watched some long before I even got my shipment for June. On September 20th, Kino has announced that they are releasing Ace High with Terrence Hill and Bud Spencer. This is going to be an HD master by Paramount from a 4K scan of the OCN, which is really cool for a title like this. They don't do a lot of those really nice 4K scans. Thanks, Josephine. Glad you're here. Yeah, a lot of these, they normally just get like a good 2K scan, but man, Paramount coming in hot over the last, 2 years probably. Like right after COVID hit, Paramount seemed to really like lock down and say, hey, we can do some of this physical media stuff too. And that's when they started licensing out to like Imprint. That was one of their first major partners, things that had never come out previously. And now they're suddenly getting these great boutique Blu-ray releases. And now Paramount, they started releasing a whole bunch of their own titles on physical media in the US. So that's always a good thing. This one is getting an audio commentary by Alex Cox, and then the theatrical trailer newly remastered in 2K. And that's about it. I don't think I've seen this one, but it's Terrence Hill and Bud Spencer, so it should be pretty good. And let's see. Dave says, my Kino order arrived last week. Nice. Waiting on the Shout release of Dog Soldiers. I think that's a late August title now, like August 22nd or something. There's got to be something going on with the master for that one, because the Second Sight release that was delayed as well. Josephine is asking, do they have Blu-ray releases of their RKO titles? I am not sure, to be honest. So this one has Eli Wallach in it as well, from The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, of course. And yeah, this also has Brock Peters, Kevin McCarthy, written, directed by Giuseppe Colizzi. Curious about that one. We got the announcement that Lightyear is coming in 4K in a steelbook to Best Buy. If you're into the steelbooks, there's going to be a few here that you're into. So this is one. This was a Disney Plus. That's right. This is the one that they chose to go theatrical with, which all of the ones that they went to Disney Plus exclusively on seem to get better reviews than this one. So this was an odd choice. Dead Sea Live just watched Kino's Film Noir Volume 1. Every movie blew you away. Nice. It's not that old. I mean, it technically just got that re-release, so it's perfect time to watch them. Speaking of steelbooks, we got the news that I have been alluding to for the last year or so, that the Lost Boys is coming in a steelbook in 4K this coming September. This is the first announcement that we got. We don't have a ton of news on this yet. This is just like Fright Night, that we don't actually have confirmation. Unless somebody else saw something, let me know, because I have not seen it. We don't have confirmation of a standard release for this or Fright Night. So I bet they're coming. I would hope they're coming, because not everybody's going to come and flock to Best Buy for an exclusive 4K steelbook. But with those titles, you think that they would make it this big, wide rollout, you would think. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. The steelbook looks decent. It doesn't look overwhelmingly great. It seems like a very cliche steelbook to me, especially the front. I do like the inside art, but you're not going to display the inside art. Let's see. Alyssa just got my VS order in 2 days ago. Nice. Very nice. Favorite vampire movies? Oh, man. I'm going to go fairly recent watch. I'm going to throw out there A Girl Who Walks Home Alone at Night. I think that's the title of it. Kino put that one out a few years ago. That one is shockingly unique, very stylish, really like electric movie. The other one that I'll throw out there that I know that we are supposedly waiting on I think it's a 4K release coming from Studio Canal eventually, is Near Dark. And I know that's sort of cliche to say, but Near Dark is a very unique vampire film. Super unique, super well done, really great cast. Next announcement from Kino is Warning Shot from 67. And yeah, don't know a whole lot about this one, but it's another Paramount title from their Paramount deal that they just signed fairly recently. And then they have announced that they're releasing Nobody's Fool in 4K with Paul Newman. No date on this one yet. This is another Paramount title. This one I'm a little less excited about because Imprint has either just put this out or is about to put it out. Is an odd choice, again, to suddenly release this in 4K. They obviously already had the 4K scan of this one ready to go, and they just had to do the HDR and Dolby Vision pass on it and all that. But yeah, this is for big Paul Newman fans. Paul Newman in 4K. That's a pretty big deal. Hey, Hans is standing up for Warning Shot. That's good to know. I will have to check that one out, I'm sure. Speaking of steelbooks, we got the announcement that we are getting Scream 2 in 4K on October 4th. This one is for sure going to have a standard release as well, but this is going to go nicely with that Scream steelbook that they did earlier. Gosh, was it just earlier this year or was it last fall? Either way, they'll go nice together. And then, of course, if you got the Scream 5 steelbook, that is a perfect companion as well. And now I'm curious, are they really going to be able to do all of these Scream movies in 4K? Because I would not be surprised at all if this was followed up fairly quickly with Scream 3 in 4K and then Scream 4. It is something that everybody is very attached to. Scream is still extremely popular, obviously. I mean, the fact that they had a TV show, they've got a sixth movie coming. The first 4 films were done by one of the most well-known directors of all time. I would not be surprised to see all of them in 4K, to be honest. And the big question is, when will they roll out? And are they going to put out a 4K box set when the 6th one comes out? Because that would be nice. Next one. Oh boy, speaking of box sets, this was a shocker out of nowhere for me, at least. We are getting on October 11th, straight from Paramount Pictures Direct, for the first time in one complete set, all 7 Paranormal Activity movies coming together, including, exclusive to this box set, the latest thriller Paranormal Activity Next of Kin, and the definitive documentary Unknown Dimension, The Story of Paranormal Activity. So this is really cool that they're putting this out. I do have a couple problems with it. So first off, I think we talked about this either last week or the week before. I am out of space, like hardcore out of space, but I would love to have this. Why do I need a box set with a single full-size case for each film? It's going to look cool. You know, they're showing this art here with the spines pointing out like that. But man, I do not need the width of 7 full Blu-ray cases plus a box to fill up on my shelf just for this series. The other main thing that I want to point out, the 7th film is exclusive to this box set. And also it's on Paramount Plus, I assume. But why? I mean, the first 6 movies we were able to purchase by themselves on Blu-ray long before now. And for those people that have the first 6 and don't want the entire box set, they have to buy the whole box set if they want the 7th film on Blu-ray. Why not give them that option? I mean, obviously it's a money grab, but it does not help your consumer. It does not give confidence to your consumer if you're going to purchase this. That being said, I got to be honest, it's at a really great price. I think you can buy this from Diabolic right now for like $62, and usually they're pretty in line with what the standard price is going to be at release. Now on sale, I see this easily going down to 40, 45, maybe even slightly less after it's been out for a year or two, because there's no listing of this being limited or anything. But this is a pretty damn cool release for people that are into Paranormal Activity. So, myself, I genuinely really like the first couple Paranormal Activity films. I think I checked out after the fourth film, I want to say. So I've got a couple more to see, and I'm probably going to pick this up because I really like this series that I've seen so far. And yeah, this looks quality, and I want to be able to show the studio that I appreciate releases like this. So I'll let my wallet talk. Hey Neil, what's going on? Next up, we got another interesting steelbook release. This is Catch Me If You Can. Now, notably, I did say on I think it was Facebook that there were some people complaining about this. I am a little surprised that this did not get a 4K release, and they're still releasing it in a steelbook. They are also re-releasing a standard Blu-ray. So yeah, they're just going all in on another release of Catch Me If You Can without a 4K. So there must not really be any plans for a 4K at the moment, probably. What's going on, Nathan? Welcome back. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow. But yeah, this is an interesting one. I like the art. I think it fits the film fairly well, especially the inside and the back art. I kind of wish the back art was the front and they reversed that just to go with the tone overall on this one. I genuinely really love Catch Me If You Can. I think it's one of my favorites from both Leo and Tom Hanks. This one, I normally don't share many of the mainstream titles like The Black Phone like this, but this one I wanted to point out for one really cool reason. So this is coming out on, oh gosh, I did not have a date yet for it. It's probably going to be about September-ish, middle of September or early October. Now, one of the things included on here, where is it? Shadow Prowler, a short film by Scott Derrickson. Now, Scott Derrickson has done a lot of really great stuff, and I genuinely went and saw this film primarily because I love Ethan Hawke, but also because Derrickson is a great director. And I've never seen the short film. I don't know if it was available elsewhere, but this is a really cool way to get it. Matt says there are announcements coming tomorrow. Yes, Imprint will probably be announced from now, probably in about 5 hours. And we are getting, I think, at least 6 titles. It might have been 7 from them. They release so many things every single month. It's hard to keep track. Imprint is wild. Next up, from Music Box Films, which is a Vinegar Syndrome partner label. This one is not coming with a slipcover on the Vinegar Syndrome site or anything like that. But this is Lost Illusions. This is being released just like the last one. I think it was called Strawberry Mansion. Nathan's asking, indicator announcements coming tomorrow, you think? I would hope so. I feel like it's been a long time since they've announced stuff. If that's not tonight, it would most likely be next Thursday into Friday. But usually they go closer to the middle of the month, like right after Criterion. So yeah, I would not be shocked if that was tonight as well. Lost Illusions, like I said, coming without a slipcover. You can buy this on Amazon right now. A few other places should be carrying this. I would not be surprised if Diabolic got this. This is a very new film. It's from 2021. It does not have very great reviews. I will throw that out there. Excuse me. This one, like Strawberry Mansion, I got that in from Music Box Films for review. It was decent. It was well done. This one, supposedly, the main character here is sort of a douchebag from what from what some of those reviews were saying. So I'm curious about this one. It looks pretty gaudy for sure. And it says Lucien de, man, I don't know French at all, so I'm gonna butcher that name. Lucien de Rubin, okay, is an ambitious and unknown aspiring poet in 19th century France. He leaves his provincial town, arriving in Paris on the arm of his admirer, Louis de Bargeton. Outmatched in elite circles, Lucien's naive etiquette prompts Louise to retreat back to her husband, leaving the young poet to forge a new path. Lucien makes a new friend and another young writer, Etienne Lousteau, who introduces him to the business of journalism, where a salon of wordsmiths and wonderkins make or break the reputations of actors and artists with insouciant impunity. I can't read right now. Lucien agrees to write rave reviews for bribes, achieving material success at the expense of his conscience, and soon discovers that the written word can be an instrument of both beauty and deceit. Sounds interesting. Let's see. I love this. That was a good try, Ryan. No, it wasn't. Thanks for the honesty, Sardis. No, it really wasn't. I've never spoken French. I can say, Johnny Mnemonic, this is coming out in the US in black and white. Like, it's not getting a big boutique release here or anything, but this is an odd one. I'm still like scratching my head over this one, that they felt the need to release this and not do something better with it. Now, this was just released by, I think it was 101 Films in the UK, and I've not gotten my copy in yet. But from what I'm hearing, people are saying that the new Blu-ray release looks worse than the DVD release, which you got to try real hard to look worse than a DVD release when you're putting it out on Blu-ray. I am curious if this will have a newer, better transfer than the 101 release that just came out on Blue. And that one was full color and all that. Zach, what's going on? You can do more than pop in. You are welcome to stay if you want. So yeah, this one is out coming on August 16th, so fairly quickly here. For those that haven't seen it, Johnny Mnemonic is not a great movie. It's Keanu Reeves, 1995, Dolph Lundgren, and it is a mess, but it is a big nostalgia piece for a lot of people. I don't love it. There's a lot to appreciate in it, but I certainly don't love it. Next up, we got Criterion, and this is kind of a huge title. This is a very big movie that a lot of people have been clamoring for a good release of for a long time. And this is 25 years after the original release, with a lot of 1997 films coming out this month from Criterion, which is super interesting. Yves Bayou is coming with a new 4K digital restoration of the director's cut, supervised by the director and cinematographer. It's also got the original 108-minute theatrical release version, audio commentary on the director's cut featuring a handful of people, Dr. Hugo from 1996, a short film Lemons made as a proof of concept for Yves Bayou, and that even got a new 4K transfer. There's a new interview with the director, new cast reunion footage, interview with composer Terrence Blanchard, new program showcasing black and white Polaroids that Vincent took during the production, and then a new essay by film scholar Kara Keeling. And Yves Bayou is a great film. If you haven't seen it, I kind of suggest that you go in blind on this one. This is a really good movie that's got some, I won't necessarily say twists, but it's a very interesting film for sure. Criterion did fairly well for October. There's a couple I'm not super stoked about, but this one is probably the one I'm most anticipating. This one, 1997's Cure from Kiyoshi Kurosawa. This was also released by Eureka. Now, I was discussing on my Discord with some of my patrons. One of them just watched Cure from the Eureka release, and this is it's a great movie. It is not one supposedly that looks great on the Eureka release, so I think that they have a huge opportunity here to look a lot better than that Eureka release. This one is getting a brand new 4K digital restoration supervised by the cinematographer with uncompressed stereo soundtrack, new conversation between the director and filmmaker Ryusuke Hamaguchi, interviews with a couple of the actors, and then an interview from 2003 with Kurosawa, plus an essay by critic Chris Fujiwara. Now, Kiyoshi Kurosawa has made a lot of waves with this title, and this is one that I think a lot of people are going to be clamoring for. This one has been hinted at for quite some time, so it wasn't very surprising, but it is nice to get. I am, however, shocked that they didn't just come out and release this both in 4K and Blu-ray at the same time, especially with a 4K digital restoration done on it. Would not have been something I would have been mad at all. I think this would look great in 4K. So kind of surprised they didn't. At the same time, a lot of the Asian producers and rights holders can be very difficult to work with, as you will hear tomorrow in the interview that I'm posting. This is one that, a lot of people love, and if you've never seen Cure, I would suggest making this one a priority during the November Criterion sale, as long as that happens again. This is probably going to sell very well during that November sale. Next up is La Llorona, and this is not that La Llorona, or the other La Llorona, or the other La Llorona that Indicator just put out. This is La Llorona from 2019, and a country's bloody history stains the present in the Guatemalan auteur Jairo Bustamante's transfixing fusion of folk horror and searing political commentary, inspired by the real-life indictment of the authoritarian Efrain Rios Montt for crimes against humanity. A notorious, now aging former military dictator stands trial for atrocities committed against Guatemala's Mayan communities. While battling legal repercussions and the people's demands for justice, he and his family are plagued by a series of increasingly strange and disturbing occurrences, seemingly brought on by an enigmatic new housekeeper. With a restraint that renders the film shocks all the more potent, Bustamante crafts a chilling vision of a nation reckoning with collective harms and the restless ghost of a past that refuses to die. To me, this is the sort of thing that is always intriguing to me. It is, like I've stated on here before, it's kind of a deep dive into another culture. You're able to learn about things because this is talking about their political, not necessarily their current political climate, but of stuff that they've had to face and how they came about from that. And it's also got some other stuff thrown in that is just going to make it all that more interesting. So this is a 2K digital master approved by the director, 5.1 surround on the soundtrack, new interview with the director, and then documentary on the making of the film featuring interviews with cast and crew, and then an essay by journalist and novelist Francisco Goldman. Lots of decent stuff in this wave. I'm digging the cover on this, and I am intrigued by this one. I think this will make for a good October pickup for sure. Probably the biggest one coming out of this month, because a lot of people have been, before I get into that, John says it's on Shudder if you want to watch it before it gets released. Very nice. Thanks, John. This might be the biggest title coming out this month that a lot of people have been waiting for a long time. We are getting 1944's Arsenic and Old Lace from Frank Capra, starring Cary Grant. Frank Capra adapted a hit stage play for this marvelous screwball meeting of the madcap and the macabre. On Halloween, newly married drama critic Mortimer Brewster returns home to Brooklyn, where his adorably dotty aunts greet him with love, sweetness, and a grisly surprise: the corpses buried in their cellar. A bugle-playing brother who thinks he's Teddy Roosevelt, a crazed criminal who's a dead ringer for Boris Karloff, and a seriously slippery plastic surgeon are among the ultra oddballs populating Arsenic and Old Lace. A diabolical delight that only gets funnier as the body count rises. I can't wait to see this. This new upgrade is going to make it look better than it ever has previously. New restored 4K digital transfer with uncompressed mono soundtrack on the Blu-ray. New audio commentary featuring Charles Dennis, author of There's a Body in the Window Seat, The History of Arsenic and Old Lace, which means dude knows his stuff. As long as he can keep that commentary entertaining, the fact that he can pepper in real information throughout the entire thing that he spent time researching and literally wrote the book on, that should be a very good commentary. It's also got the radio adaptation from 52 starring Boris Karloff, and then an essay by David Cairns. Dave and Sardis both love this. Nathan says, headed out to catch some martial arts. Nice. Been a long day. Got to get some rest. See you tomorrow. Zach says, I've waited so long for Arsenic and Old Lace to hit Blu-ray. Can't believe Warner Archives never did a Blu-ray release. That is a very good point. This will probably be a better release than they were going to do, so that's a good thing. Now, that being said, I really hope Warner Archive kind of steps up. I feel like they were hitting hard near the end of last year, early on to this year, but they've kind of slowed down a lot throughout the middle half of this year. Curious to see how they're going to end up this year, because usually they go October, November, December. Usually has got some nice titles from them. And there's a lot more that they can do. It was rumored that they were still going to be able to release The Devils eventually, maybe, that they were possibly working on it. I'll believe that when I see it, obviously. But yeah, that would be nice. They should eventually be able to do Freaks, although that was possibly with Criterion for the longest time. So we'll see there. Next up, we got one more or two more? Two more. Coming on October 11th in 4K from Criterion is 1997's Lost Highway. This is the David Lynch film, of course, that was fairly recently released by Kino and promptly went out of print so that they could put this out with Criterion. This is brand new 4K digital restoration, supervised and approved by David Lynch. And then this has Pretty as a Picture, The Art of David Lynch, a feature-length 1997 documentary by Toby Keeler featuring Lynch and his collaborators. And then reading by Lynch and critic Christine McNa of excerpts from their 2018 book, Room to Dream. And then archival interviews and English subs. And that is about it. So there's not a ton on here, but I guarantee this is going to be the best this film has ever looked, obviously. And would not be surprised if this was leaps and bounds over the Kino release that came out, which kind of stinks. Obviously, a lot of people bought that Kino release and are going to feel like they shouldn't have, but thankfully it wasn't super expensive, hopefully, unless you bought it on release. That's the deal with the Kino sales. You got to wait for one of those sales. Another 4K title coming out. We are getting a re-release of Night of the Living Dead. This is an interesting one. So obviously, love this film. Great movie. Super prescient, super important, very definitive for horror, for George A. Romero, for black cinema. There's so much about this movie that's important. And I'm not going to put it down, even though it sounded like I was leading up to that. It does, however, kind of stink that this had like a groundbreaking Blu-ray release for this just a couple years ago, and now they're putting this out in 4K. I don't know why I'm coughing so much, and I've got a cough drop in my mouth. This one, the 4K restoration that was on the Blu-ray looked incredible, and I guarantee it's going to look even better in 4K UHD. This is an easy recommend if you never bought the Blu-ray. However, if you already have the Blu-ray, there's not going to be a whole lot of reason for you to upgrade unless you really are dying to have those colors in, this really beautiful HDR, which I guarantee will look great. But to already shell out for another one, that's kind of a big ask. There's no new commentaries, no new features, nothing like that. It's the same everything else. So that's going to be questionable for a lot of people, guaranteed. Yeah, and the comments are seemingly confirming that. If you don't need to upgrade, then you don't need this one. But at least we have one of the most important horror films in 4K, archived forever. not something that we're going to lose. This is an incredible film, obviously. And I believe that's it for Criterion. Those are all coming in October, by the way. All right, maybe the most exciting announcement of the week for me. This looks fantastic. So this was leaked by a podcast a few days before they actually officially announced this. But Severin is releasing the House of Psychotic Women Rarities collection. Now, I'm curious about this one because their site says October 25th. The podcast that they did, it mentioned it coming out in August. We haven't gotten September announcements yet, if we are getting September announcements. So now I'm very curious, when is this actually coming out? So I'm betting it's going to come out October 25th, because usually with MVD, who is their distributor, they do about 90 days before the actual release. That's when they do their announcements. So I'm curious if something happened there. Maybe the Steckler release pushed it back and they pre-recorded the podcast or something. I don't know. There's so much going on. But this box set, oh man, this box set is going to be an important one. This release is full of Identikit, I Like Bats, Footprints, and then the other side of the underneath. So the story behind this box set, in 2012, what was that word? In 2012, Kiera Janice published House of Psychotic Women, billed as an autobiographical topography of female neurosis in horror and exploitation films. It soon became one of the most vital genre tomes of all time. To mark the book's 10th anniversary, award-winning writer, programmer, filmmaker Janice, who also did Woodlands Dark and Days Bewitched, the documentary for Severin, now presents 4 of the strongest and strangest explorations of on-screen delirium and hysteria, all on American Blu-ray for the first time. So, Elizabeth Taylor stars in 1974's Identikit, also known as The Driver's Seat, as a hostile woman who travels to Rome to find the most dangerous liaison. In the surreal 1986 Polish horror comedy I Like Bats, a female vampire discovers that love may be the cruelest curse of all. Florinda Bolkin stars in the 1975 amnesiac giallo Footprints from the director of The Fifth Chord, and British screenwriter and radical theater icon Jane Arden directs 1972's harrowing The Other Side of the Underneath. Each film has been restored from the original vault elements, all new introductions by the author, and hours of special features produced exclusively for this collection. There is so much coming out with this that I had to do an extra post here. And let's look at these. So they have 2 bundle options, or of course you could just buy the release of the box set by itself. This is the House Key bundle, which is $120. So you get the box set with all 4 movies. You get the House of Psychotic Women Rarities Collection Blu-ray box set, and then signed hardcover book with a bonus CD here. So Kiera Janice is going to give you this extended release of her book, which is really cool. Then there is a second bundle that includes the CD, the book that we just talked about, the box set, and then all these little things bonus with it. We've got the let's see, I Like Bats check poster replica, Footprint sleep mask, Identikit scarf, and then this really neatly designed tote bag. I got to admit, I'm kind of a sucker for the tote bag. I genuinely use my tote bags. I love when they're properly designed by something like this, something that I'm interested in. Now, one thing that kind of stinks. People that had that book, it is the 10-year anniversary of the book, and this is now an autographed copy. So some people are going to want this because it is expanded, and it's not just like, oh, here's a couple more excerpts and a couple pictures. From what I hear, it's like 108 more pages in this new release. So if you had the book previously, this may still genuinely be worth it. And these bundles, honestly, fairly priced, I think, for what you're getting. Sardis says, did they include the phone number of a psychotic woman? I'll give you the number to my ex, and then you'll be good. Well, you won't be good, but you'll have one. This is a great release, and the features that they are putting on this, these are 4 very important, well, 2 at least are very important, very well-known films. The other ones are getting there in stature, at least. This is a great-looking box set. I'd been sort of down on Severin over the last few months. I've not been a big fan of stuff that they've been putting out this year. But then they got me back with Steckler. And then they got me back with this House of Psychotic Women. And they could still very much end this year very, very strongly. So I'll see what else they got coming. Anyone super excited for these 4 films? How much is the generic box? It is fairly cheap. It is $73. If you pre-order just the box by itself, it is $73. So then when you add in that $120 bundle, you get the expanded hardcover that is autographed book, and then the exclusive CD here. That is another $47, which not that bad, I think, for a book like that. Couch is a fan of them. Nice. Zach hasn't seen any of them, but it's never stopped me from blowing $100. Yeah, this is one that I pretty much had to look at immediately, and to go into some of the special features. So just on Identikit from 1974, this is the one with Elizabeth Taylor. This has an introduction by Kier-La Janice, an audio commentary with TCM Underground curator Millie DiCirico, and then A Lack of Absence, writer and literary historian Chandra Mayor on Muriel Spark and the driver's seat. This is that's a Region A lock disc. The second disc is I Like Bats. That one has another intro by Kier-La Janice, audio commentary with Kamila Wielbiska. That was probably not how to say that because I'm not Polish. Actor and co-editor of A Story of Sin, Surrealism in Polish Cinema. That release of I Like Bats is region free. And then Footprints is getting 2 discs, disc 3 and 4. That one is going to be region A locked. And we are getting the US cut and the Italian cut of this one. An introduction by Kier-La Janice, To the Moon, an interview with actress Ida Galli. Nicoletta Elmi, Italian cinema's Imp Ascendant, video essay by film scholars Alexandra Heller-Nicholas and Craig Martin. And then an audio commentary with film historian Kat Ellinger on the Italian cut. There's also Light of the Moon, interview with cinematographer Vittorio Storaro. Then disc number 5, The Other Side of the Underneath. This one has the introduction by Kier-La Janice, extended work print version of the film, Sheila Allen interview, Natasha Morgan interview, extended sequences, Penny Slinger live at the Miskatonic Institute of Horror Studies, and then Penny Slinger Out of the Shadows trailer. That last one is region free. Terry just sent me a DM. Nice. Appreciate that. Let's see. Somebody said, I'm confused. In the Severin podcast, you said The House of Psychotic Women comes out in August to coincide with the book. The release date is October. If it is October, will we get anything in August? Andrew Furtado responded, and Severin store release date is August. The box goes wide in October for Amazon, Diabolic Orbit, and others. Awesome. So if you order it from Severin, you should get it literally next month. That's crazy fast for them. And especially when Steckler comes out next month as well, right? That's August, right? Not July? I'm on the Severin site. Why don't I look? Let's see. The Steckler box. Oddly enough, it doesn't really have a date listed. I think it was August, right? Let me see if I can find that Steckler box set on another site. Oh, wow. Dead Sea Life says Steckler is next week. Crazy. Yeah, July 26th. I was way off. Thanks, Dead Sea Life. Yeah, Blu-ray.com confirms July 26th. Damn. Okay, so that's interesting. So this is coming. The Steckler box set is next week. Then this in August, and then we still don't have September announcements from them. Interesting. They could still do a lot for the rest of the year. I mean, obviously, a lot of people are anticipating a certain other box set, but I would not be surprised if that was not either not this year or if it was a December, January release like the Folk Horror box set was. So we'll see. Either way, this looks like an incredible release. By the way, the House Key bundle limited to only 500. That's the $120 bundle. And then the other one also limited to 500, the $153 one. So if you want that updated book, there are 1,000 copies of it available through Severin, or you can get it through Fab Press in the UK. And the Fab Press release does also have the CD out, I believe. All right. This is a cool one. So Kino Lorber is putting out Dr. Death from 1973 for Scorpion releasing on September 20th. This was released previously. This is sort of a re-release, but this has been out of print for a long time. This is one a lot of people have wanted for a while, and this one was going for some decent money. So this is still only the 2015 HD master from the OCN, so it's not going to look any better than that older release. Then we got an audio commentary by John Considine. Dr. Death commands an interview with John Considine, and then interview with the director's son, Steve Sayeta, remembering the director. This one is supposed to be incredible. I don't think I've seen this one, but it looks amazing. What's going on, Max? Hope you're doing well. Next up, we got an interesting thing that pissed some people off. Like I said, lots of steelbooks this week. So they announced that coming on October 11th, we are getting 4K steelbooks for each of the Godfather films. This is the first one. Here's the steelbook for the second one, and the steelbook for the third one. Now, I'm usually a steelbook person. I also love some of the decent collector's editions. But you'll notice the art on these steelbooks is the same art that they used in the big collector's edition for this, which was going for like $120 for a long time. And then it kind of dropped to like 105-ish. But I don't think it's been less than like 98, 95, somewhere around there since it got released. And it's a big package. Phrasing. It is a large release, and it is one that pissed some people off. But now these are going to come out, and we're probably going to be able to get these for like 25, 28 each, which already is cheaper than that collector's edition, and you get the same art on the steelbooks. So I'm actually leaning towards the steelbooks and then displaying them on one of my steelbook shelves that I have here. I have never seen the 9-hour and 40-minute Godfather trilogy cut. No, I have not. I got to admit, this is going to be like a sin in 2022 to announce this, considering it just came out fairly recently. But I've still not seen Coda, technically. I saw the third movie years ago, but not the new version that's supposedly way better. I just haven't sat down with them. And when I do, I kind of want to watch all three again, fairly close together. Jeff, I tend to agree for the most part. However, this is one of those instances where I don't think it's just collectors. I think it's just that it's a popular title, and they are always going to milk the popular titles. You know, if this was something like, oh gosh, looking around for something decent, like Symptoms from Mondo Macabro. If they announced that to come out in like 4 different versions, all limited to like 150 each, and then a wide release 2 years later, that would be a very different thing. But yeah, the Godfather is always going to get some fancy new release every couple of years. It always has and always will. Same with like the Jurassic Park films. We're seeing it right now with the Indiana Jones films. Back to the Future is another one that's classic like that has gotten far too many releases. Most Spielberg films will get something like that. Yeah, there's so much that just gets milked to oblivion. That was a weird phrase too. But yeah, I don't necessarily think Paramount is taking advantage of collectors. I mean, at the same time, that is kind of difficult to say, because I don't think they're taking advantage of collectors. I think they're just trying to milk it for more money, which could be taken as taking advantage of collectors, but I don't really think so, because I don't think many people are going out and buying every release of The Godfather. I think it's just, here's a fancy new edition, and we'll see how many people buy this new one. Especially because we've already got 2 releases of the 4K trilogy so far, and this is going to be the 3rd one in less than a year. So yeah, I don't think it's attacking collectors necessarily. Let's see. I'm doing another watch along for the Patreon on our Discord this coming Sunday. You can still get in on that. You've missed the giveaway for this month, but if you want to watch the movie that we're watching, by the way, for the patrons watching right now, I have only gotten votes in the poll for like half of you, so make sure you go in there and vote before we are watching that Sunday night. Next up, 4K Indecent Proposal, coming from Kino Lorber on September 27th. This was previously announced, so I won't go too deep into this. This is just the details on it. September 27th, nothing brand new. It's just an HDR Dolby Vision remaster by Paramount. There's no new features, no new anything on here. And yeah, do you want to see Robert Redford, Demi Moore, and Woody Harrelson in 4K having an Indecent Proposal? I remember when this one came out. This was a pretty big release at the time. So curious. Let's see. Radiance Films. So this is kind of an important one. Fran Simeone, that left Arrow Films and started Radiance Films, they have not released or even announced their first title yet. They've made some announcements though. A couple weeks ago, we talked about some people that signed up to work with them. They have announced a couple things. One, that they have signed a distribution deal with MVD in North America, which means we will be able to buy these in the US. They will be available on Diabolic, Orbit, everywhere the MVD titles are available, which is basically everywhere, because MVD distributes for all of our favorite labels. And they have also announced that in their first year, they're planning on releasing 30 titles. 30 titles. Brand new label headed by Fran Simeone is going to release 30 titles in the first year. I mean, that's a lot for anybody, but for a brand new label, that is awesome. They seem to be signing new deals all the time. He hasn't really announced any obviously yet, but they seem to be pretty dang big, and he was a huge part of Arrow. So I'm very excited to what he's able to bring to this, not only for the first year, but for years to come, it sounds like. Dead Sea Life is asking, am I interviewing this guy? Maybe. Can't say yet, but maybe. Okay, another classic. This is kind of a reminder. Jack and the Beanstalk from 1952 with Abbott and Costello. That's releasing next Tuesday from Classic Flicks, and we never talked about it. For some reason, I forgot to post it. They have confirmed that the limited Blu-ray will have between 2,000 and 3,000 copies. You can order it now, and the pre-order price, it does have some sort of a discount on it, like 20%, 25% off of the normal price. Yeah, there's an interesting reason to get it, because a lot of the classic flick stuff, they go on sale every so often, but not super often, so you might want to. There is a lot of new features on here. New feature introduction by Lou's youngest daughter, Chris Costello. Audio commentary by the Abbott and Costello expert, Ron Palumbo. and then new discovered footage of Abbott and Costello performing Who's on First on December 2nd, 1940. Whole bunch of other stuff. This one looks to be a pretty stacked release. So if you are an Abbott and Costello person, by all means, I would suggest checking this out. Maximus, I see your comment, and we're probably going to talk about that, but I'm gonna give it just a minute. Get through a couple more of these, and then we'll come back to it. Might be able to finish all of them. Another one of the classics, Flicker Alley on September 27th is releasing Casanova from 1927. This is the iconic French historical drama Casanova, directed by Alexander Volkov and set in the 1760s Venice. Stars renowned silent film actor Ivan Moscoyin, that's probably wrong, as the famous philanderer Giacomo Casanova in a flamboyant spectacle of romance, comedy, and intrigue. This is another one that Flicker Alley is working in a partnership with the Black Hawk Films Collection. Lobster Films and the Giornate del Cinema Muto is honored to present this newly restored edition of the film, thanks to the tremendous efforts of La Cinémathèque Francois and a deluxe 2-disc Blu-ray DVD edition. There is some new stuff on here, and there is actual, features on this. So curious to see how the community wants this or doesn't want this. Flicker Alley tends to go under the radar a little bit. They're also a little overpriced, I think, for what they put out, but it takes a lot of money to restore what they're restoring. So I completely get it. I'm not trying to knock that, but they don't really compete with the sales or anything like that. I think it's important to remaster films like this and archive them, of course, as we should be doing for everything. But I think that if they are wanting their home video market to be larger, they should probably have some decent sales. Even on sale, their stuff's like $27, $28. Next up, coming from Kino Lorber on September 27th is Jason's Lyric. This is from 1994 at the rise of Jada Pinkett. This is, it's got Alan Payne from CB4, Jada Pinkett Smith, Eddie Griffin from Undercover Brother, and Forrest Whitaker, the Forrest Whitaker. And this one, I know that I've seen this a long time ago, and I can't remember a lot of it. So I'm definitely needing to see this again. And this is an interesting title for them to put out, but I'm glad they're doing it. Again, September 27th. You can pre-order it now. Looks great. They've announced details on the Dark Side of Cinema 9, their film noir box set. We were just talking about their box set number 1 earlier in the chat. This one is coming on October 11th with brand new 2K masters of Lady of a Train and Tangier, and then a 4K restoration by Universal Pictures of Take One False Step. New audio commentary by Kelly Robinson for Lady of a Train, another commentary by Felicia Feaster for Tangier, and then another new commentary by Eddie Von Mueller for Take One False Step. There is a lot coming in their noir sets. Supposedly, they have enough for, I think, 12 right now, and they may go all the way up to like 15 or more, which is so many. So many. Then just today, we got announcements from Eureka of some really cool titles that are all just absolute classics. We're getting The Most Dangerous Game from 1932. This is the American pre-code horror film starring Joel McCrea and Fay Wray, will be released on Blu-ray for the first time ever in the UK as part of the Masters of Cinema series. I love the art on this slip here. And a lot of people know that this was filmed at the same time as King Kong. This was filmed at night while King Kong was filmed during the day. And then this gets a new audio commentary with Stephen Jones and Kim Newman. Brand new interview with Kim Newman on the hunted human subgenre, which I would love to hear that interview. And then new interview with film scholar Stephen Thrower, who is basically the GOAT. He is amazing at everything he does. Then, maybe the bigger title, The Hunchback of Notre Dame from 1923. This is the $1 million super production of Victor Hugo's famous novel starring Lon Chaney. Will be released on Blu-ray for the first time ever in the UK as part of the Masters of Cinema series presented from a 4K restoration. So this is not a UHD disc, just a 1080p Blu-ray disc, but this is a big movie. For those that have not seen it, this is like going all out back in 1923. This is one that I suggest you watch if you've not seen it for sure. This gets new audio commentary with Stephen Jones and Kim Newman again, new interview with Kim Newman on the many adaptations of Victor Hugo's novel, and then a new interview with film historian Jonathan Rigby. Plus, this will have a booklet and a new essay by journalist Philip Kemp, and the slipcover will be in the first pressing of this. I think that is limited to 2,000 copies. And finally, from Eureka, they are putting out another set of Boris Karloff in Maniacal Mayhem. This features The Invisible Ray, Black Friday, and The Strange Door. Now, these are, again, going to be a limited release with the slipcover and booklet in it for the first 2,000 copies. New audio commentary for tracks on The Invisible Ray and The Strange Door with Stephen Jones and Kim Newman. And then a new commentary on Black Friday with Kevin Lyons and Jonathan Rigby. They also got a radio adaptation plus a booklet in this as well. This is a really cool, like very classic month for Eureka, obviously, with the titles that they're putting out. We got two very old films and then this triple release from them. They're, gosh, the newest one in all of these is, 51? And most are 1940 and prior. That is very classic for Eureka, and their Masters of Cinema stuff, they do very well with this. So I am stoked that they're putting these out. Their Karloff releases so far have been very respectful, very nice, very well done. And for anybody that's collecting all of the Masters of Cinema series or diving into that lane because you don't have as many Criterion releases if you're in the UK, this is a really great way to get some like prestige titles going. And finally, literally 2 minutes before the show went live tonight, we got an announcement for The Meaning of Life, Monty Python's The Meaning of Life, coming in 4K on September 13th. There does not seem to be anything new on here. Everything seems to be archival, but this did need a new restoration. The Blu-ray for this did not look great. And the rumor is that we are supposed to be getting the other Monty Python films in 4K coming soon as well. I would imagine Holy Grail is probably coming next. And then Life of Brian will probably come after that one. These are pivotal for me. I adore Monty Python. These are some of the ones that like legitimately almost taught me comedy because of how much I watched them, especially Holy Grail and Life of Brian. Probably Life of Brian is my favorite of the bunch. Jeff is saying the whole series. No, I don't think we are getting the TV series in 4K, but this is still an amazing development that we're actually getting these in 4K. These little British films of silly comedy have touched so many people and made an impact on comedy worldwide that it could not possibly be dismissed or lessened. Python genuinely is full of some of the best people ever. Yeah, I could gush about Python for a long time. I won't, but if you've never seen The Meaning of Life, this is going to be the definitive way to see it, obviously. And when we get Holy Grail in 4K and Life of Brian in 4K, I am going to have to watch those back to back or something because they are so damn meaningful. Man, I would love to get a Mr. Bean 4K. Don't tempt me, Dead Sea Live. It's the Python films. Yes, those are all coming. Let's go back before we go into what's coming out next month and talk about Max's comment here. Really makes me wonder when market oversaturation really hits. And Dave said it's going to be interesting to see what this does to Arrow, talking about Radiance films. And here's the thing. I don't know. I don't know that we can really have oversaturation in this hobby. obviously we can't keep up the same level of purchasing if you're trying to get like all of the brand new crazy good collector's editions, and you're not going to be able to collect all of the limited editions forever, but also they're not necessarily going to produce all of the limited editions forever if people can't buy them as much. That being said, there is not really oversaturation if all it does is give us options. And with something like this is a hobby for sure. The other side of it is to point out that it is literally archiving important art. And that sounds silly to say when we're talking about films like, you know, Black Devil Doll from Hell or Mr. Bean or, you know, the long ships that just came out from Imprint or something. But it is like I always say, every single film has been somebody's favorite film, and it is important to store those in the best quality possible. It's not necessarily important to release them all on Blu-ray, but there is no reason, there's no reason for them not to, if they're going through all the restoration work and the archival work, and they could at least put out a small disc. Now, there is this odd like attachment to special features right now, and a lot of people seemingly are not watching them because they don't talk about them very much, but I love them, and it seems like people are not buying releases if they don't have features, and I don't think I'm guilty of not doing that, but I will be one to admit that, like Criterion, I have spoken poorly of during a month when they don't put a lot of work into special features, but that's because I love them and I watch them. Now, I think what's really cool is finding a label that you really relate to, and finding maybe a new genre of film that you can relate to, or I mean, truly, as long as you're watching these releases, I hope that people can fall in love with film either all over again or brand new, or you know, just discover something in yourself that really love it. Yeah, there's so much going through these labels lately that it's hard to keep up with. I guarantee that. But if you really zone in on what you want, and you can, you know, choose and sort of program for yourself the type of films that you want, there's a lot out there to discover and to love. Let's see. Zach says, I think that's what's helped is having these labels find their own niche and identity. Makes it easier to find a focus. For the most part, I agree. I think that there's some labels that just plain don't have one, which gets tough. But that's why these boutique labels are so important, because they are also trying to program for us. So we'll see. Let's see. Video Man says, did I go through the releases coming from Unearthed Films? Any news from them? Not any new news. We went over like the stuff that's coming out in the next couple months. We went over those when they were first announced. We've got the Old Man movie. In fact, I think that's shipping now from MVD. They're about to put out Dr. Lamb. That DVD is already out, and the Blu-ray will be out in just a few weeks now, I believe. They also have, is it No Escape, that Ray Liotta film that they announced, and then Christmas Cruelties coming this holiday season, and they've got Calamity of Snakes next year. They just showed off a Profane exhibit at a festival, and that one they've been working on for years. So yeah, a lot coming from Unearthed. Well, relatively a lot for Unearthed Films, at least. But nothing brand new. No brand new announcements. Terry says, I was trying to find some numbers, but there are so many movies that are still on VHS. And what he means is they've never got a DVD or Blu-ray release. Not all of them are likely gems, but there's likely an audience for them. And again, we absolutely, no matter if it's for you, if it's for me, if it's not for either of us, there is a demographic for literally every film. Whether it be, you know, people are collecting every film made in Germany, or people are collecting every film with a certain actor or from a director or from a genre. There's always a market for pretty much everything. So I just hope we get there eventually. Sardis says, I'm still trying to buy a lot of the older stuff along with keeping up with new releases. That's a lot. I could spend the same money just picking up older titles. Yeah, that's true. And that's there are so many catalog titles, and the hard part is stuff goes out of print. and then you can't find them. And I'll say right now, like the big example is like Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 from Scream Factory has been out of print for, oh gosh, like 3 years now, maybe even more than that, maybe like 3.5 years, because I think that original license was only for 5 years, and it went out pretty quickly. So the Scream Factory releases, I've personally seen them sell for like $175 just because it had the slipcover and it was sealed, each. So $175 each. But the truth of the matter is, it's going to get picked up and released again by somebody else, especially a title like Sleepaway Camp 2. That's not an obscure film or something like that. Now, if you're talking about some of these like obscure foreign films that only gets a very small release from, a second run or a third window films, or even something like Unearthed Films, if they don't get a long lasting license, nobody else may put that out. So you can maybe try to focus on some of those smaller labels, while a movie like Sleepaway Camp 2 you can wait on. Or also, I've said it 500 times before, go region free. Period. It's 2022. You should be region free. Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 you can get right now from 88 Films for $10 a piece. They're locked region B, but if you're region free, it does not matter. Jeff says, problem may be that so many labels release similar, same titles in the same genres. Variety might help oversaturation. Yes, but the fact that I did a full series on boutique labels that I collect, and so should you, and I went over like, gosh, it was like 90 boutique labels. Variety isn't really that much of a problem. It's just a matter of seeking it out. If you're only buying from something like Kino or Scream Factory or Vinegar Syndrome and the partner labels, there might be a lot of saturation there. But if you are really branching out and seeking out other really cool titles, take a really small label for a spin and see if you can make something new inside yourself that you appreciate for some of these other films. And if you take a chance on that small label, you could literally make somebody's day, because some of these, you're going to find out in an interview that I'm posting tomorrow, some of these releases that their break-even point is literally like 1,000 sold, and after years they're only selling like 600 titles of that one movie, which is nothing, which is crazy. Let's see. Hilton says, listen to the new Tarantino podcast. Nice. And now I have an interest in Dark Star for the first time. What's the best version to get? Well, in the US, you don't have many options. I believe it's only the VCI release. As far as I know, there is... Oh, there you go. Zach brought it up. Japan has a beautiful release. I think there's also... I want to say it was a German release that was really well done. I do think they're all from the same scan, so you're not going to actually get any better picture quality from all of them. We really do need a better version of that, but it's an important movie too. I also want to throw out there, for people that haven't checked it out, just a big recommendation for Starman from John Carpenter. A lot of people are talking about John Carpenter this week after the Jordan Peele Twitter thing. He is my favorite director of all time, just like a lot of people. And I want to say Starman, absolutely underrated in everything. That movie is great. It is unique. It is really well made. It is a very nice like final shot of the film. There's so much in it. Starman gets slept on a lot. Sardis says, I watch lots of films not available on physical media, recorded in other countries with fan subs. It's the only way to see them. And those could literally be released every single Tuesday for the next like 9 years and still never run out of them. So yeah, there's a lot. Dave says, I don't have the financial ability to keep up with any one label, so I just pick and choose. Yeah, and that's, please, by all means, pick and choose exactly what you want. Program for yourself. Make sure you appreciate it and fall in love. It makes film and physical media all that more important to you. Watching Dark Star makes it easier to see why he likes DDG. Really good insight into Carpenter's humor. Yes. Okay, so going into next week, let me pull up the calendar. It would not load the first time, but now it will. Next Tuesday, we are looking at the 26th of July, and there's some big ones. There's ones here that I've been waiting for quite some time. Oh, yeah. Jeff, completely agree. A lot of people don't even realize that Carpenter directed Starman. It is very unique in his filmography. Definitely unique. And that's the thing. People look at Carpenter and just go to horror. But, man, some of his films are so steeped in other genres that you just don't think of Starman. I don't know. It's a lot. All right, next Tuesday, we are getting from Kino the 4K release of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Wonderful film, one of my favorites of all time. If you've never seen it, please pick up this release. Please. Great movie. Let me know what you think of it. I hope it looks good in 4K. I haven't got mine yet. Doctor Strange in 4K. That's not boutique, obviously, but that is coming. The Killing by some guy named Stanley Kubrick. That one's coming in 4K from Kino next week. Species in 4K is shipping from Scream Factory now. A lot of people have already got that. Out of the Blue 4K from Severin. Some people have already gotten that as well. I can't wait to get that one in. Unfortunately, I ordered it with something else, so as soon as that gets released, I'll get it. The Eurocrypt of Christopher Lee Volume 2. I think that's the retail release coming out. And then Night Gallery Season 2 from Kino. Again, incredible release from them. One that I strongly suggest you look at if you like those types. Planet of the Vampires, the Bava film. That one's coming out from Kino. Tenebrae in 4K is coming next week as well. The Return of Captain Invincible. That is the other Severin title that they released with that Lee box set. Everybody should be starting to get the shipping notices from Vinegar Syndrome. So stuff like Righting Wrong should be in your hands soon if you ordered it. I'm Dangerous Tonight, the Tobe Hooper TV film, is coming out from Kino next week. And I'm going to be talking about Tobe Hooper and that release quite a bit very soon, actually. I mentioned the Jack and the Beanstalk release earlier. That one is next Tuesday. Pleasure. This is one that a lot of people have given rave reviews for. My copy finally shipped. Can't wait to get that one in. It's supposed to be incredible. The release of Bloody Muscle, Bodybuilder in Hell from Visual Vengeance will finally be released into the world. I don't know who is asking for a 4K release of Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar, but I'm here for it. I am stoked on that. I may get it eventually. I really liked that movie. It was that perfect level of like silly comedy. It was a good one. Raw Nerve and all the other partner labels are coming out for this month, like Jack Be Nimble, Lux Eterna, Heartbreakers, Heavy Metal Parking Lot, We're All Going to the World's Fair, and the others. I think that is the biggest ones for boutique releases, at least. Place Beyond the Pines is getting a re-release. Whole bunch of re-releases coming from some of these studios. It looks like they had lost rights for a little while, and they're just now getting it back. All right. Dead Sea Life says, what's different about the retail release of Eurocrypt 2? Nothing. It's just a matter of where you got it. It is Severin released theirs, and just like we just talked about with the Steckler box set, or not Steckler, sorry, the House of Psychotic Women box set, it will release through Severin's site, and then a couple months later, it'll go to places like Amazon and Diabolic, because that's the retail release. So they can ship it from their warehouse to you sooner, and then everybody else, they'll get it when the resale version goes out. Nothing different whatsoever. And those aren't, the lease set is not limited, so there's not anything missing in that release. You're not getting anything special, depending on where you buy it from or anything like that. It's just a retail release. Sardis is waiting on Sampo and the Noe film. There is a lot coming out this month from partner labels. Dave says, where am I looking for the upcoming releases and sales? That calendar I just went through, that was from Blu-ray.com. I try to keep an eye on all of the labels. So I try to, I really try to keep an eye on there and consolidate everything on my page for everybody. The sales, especially when they come out, I really try to give an extra deep dive into, but it's hard. And there are so many, again, we just talked about it. There are so many releases. It's really hard to keep tabs on every single one. Marvin, what's going on, my friend? So yeah, again, as long as you are following social media for me on any of the other platforms, I think it's the one of the best ways. I try to consolidate most of it. I don't go into a lot of the mainstream titles though, like the Black Phone tonight. I talked about that. I only did that because of that short film, but yeah, Primal is getting a 4K, Zach. It is a weird one because of the effects on that. They are, let's see, I think there was one more release that was getting a weird 4K from them as well. Can't remember what it is now. Primal and Barb and Star and something else. Anyways, what am I saving the space with the Arrow video? Oh, that little bubble right there and right there. Not really, just more Arrow titles. They're ones that I get a lot from, so I fill those in as soon as I can. And I haven't had a lot of Arrow come in recently, actually. Although, I think I've got an order coming from Orbit with some Arrow that I missed out on and somehow never got. And if you've been watching my interviews recently, you probably know which one I got extra excited for after talking with people about. Also, just sort of a little check-in with the hobby. So it seems like a lot of people lately are, I don't know, I mentioned it slightly earlier, but I feel like a lot of these people that are taking part in this and complaining about releases or buying as much as they can, I'm not going to call them scalpers because I don't necessarily think they are, but a lot of these people are literally just buying the films and not watching them. I had been very busy for a very long time. I will freely admit this. With two kids, both are special needs, and with a house to run and a super busy government job that I do, it was a lot for a long time to watch a lot of movies. And I have made an extra effort in the last 3 or 4 weeks to really try to watch a movie as often as I possibly can. And it has genuinely made me happier because of how much I enjoy this hobby. So I'm not going to talk down to anybody that's just buying them because I understand the appeal just to collect things. However, I will say there is so much to enjoy in these films that please take the time to pull the ones that you are buying off of your shelf, open them up, dive in, and really dive in if you can. I know it's a lot of time commitment for some of these, especially if you don't love the film, but really dive into the special features. Listen to a commentary while you are driving, if possible. Some people rip those onto their phone or something like that. If you can, listen to a commentary while working. There are so many other ways that you can try to absorb some of this information. And I've found, even with films I don't love, diving into these special features really make me embrace the films a lot more. And especially when it's a really great commentary, it can genuinely change like a 2-star film to like a 4-star film for me. And there's just so much to discover behind these films, the stories, the political climates they were made in, the way they affected life in a certain country when it was released, or the turmoil that the director was going through as they were making something. And you'll never know it because the movie, is a happy movie or something that looks super well put together, but the director was super chaotic during it. There's so much that you can just hold on to and grasp while listening after the fact that I could not recommend that anymore. If you are a Vinegar Syndrome and partner label lover, it feels like a lot of them are starting to put in booklets with a lot of their releases. Now, A lot of people seem to just go right over those. I'm going to say again, I really think you should dive into those booklets. Some of them are made for different reasons. Some are genuinely educational. Some are critiquing the film. Some are explaining the context behind the film. But either way, there is always something great to discover in those little booklets. And most of them are very short. Unless you're watching some giant box set like the Django limited release from Arrow, the book in that is great because it deep dives on the legend of Django and the character and all of the ripoffs that spawned from that character, but then also on the director, Corbucci. So if you deep dive into that booklet and read the whole thing through, it's like film school in a booklet, and it is something that can make you appreciate and also find so much more cinema that you didn't even know about, because they'll name drop 58 other titles that you're like, oh my gosh, I got to see these as well if they're as good as this, or this movie inspired this movie and I didn't love this movie, but something that inspired it, maybe I'll like it more. So yeah, highly recommend it. Quiet Rob says just rewatched Thief. I think a lot of people are rewatching Thief right now because of the loss of James Caan. John says the booklet for Air Doll was important. Interesting. Sardis says awareness increases desire for more. It's about learning how film is all connected in one way or another. It may be obscure. It's about exploration. And I'll say not just how film is all connected, but how that film can connect to you. That is one of the most important aspects of watching these movies and for enjoying physical media. I mean, you don't know the moment that you're going to watch a film, and as soon as you get done, go, holy shit, that movie just changed my life. Genuinely, I'm so glad that it's on my shelf, and now I want to know everything about it. And these are the perfect ways to do that. Zach says that Django release might be the best single release Arrow's ever done. It somehow became worth the frustration of trying to get it. And then they released it on 4K, and it was available for pretty much everybody. Yes, that is a great single title release. And actually, it came with a bonus film in there, too. Didn't like that one as much, but it was still good. Anyways, that was enough. I don't know where that mini rant really came from. I think I got frustrated with some social media comments, but that's all I personally have. Anybody have any comments? Anything they want to shout out, throw out there? Terry says, definitely agree with everything you're saying lately. I've been doing good to keep up with the movies themselves. Me too. Again, yeah, I am really only diving into special features of certain ones, and usually it's because my wife is asleep and I don't want to go to bed yet, and I just watched God, what's one I just did this with? I'm trying to think. Pink Flamingos. I just watched Pink Flamingos as she fell asleep on my arm. And not because she hates Pink Flamingos or anything. She started it. She's just tired sooner than me. And she didn't care much about it. So I finished it and watched some of the special features. And I love doing stuff like that. Dead Sea Life says 95% of what I buy is a blind buy. I tend to know what I think I like, so I'm never too worried. I am right there with you. I think I've explained this in a video or two before, but because of where I was raised and we didn't have access to a ton of films, almost all of this boutique stuff is brand new to me. I'd never even heard of most of these titles. So even though it looks like I've got this giant wall of film behind me that, I just must be super passionate about, I'd never heard of most of the titles that you see behind me. Probably, let's see, I'd heard of RoboCop, obviously, Maniac, a couple others that I can peek out from the titles there, but not many of them. So yeah, most of my stuff is a blind buy as well. There's a big difference between movie watchers to film lovers. Exactly. Physical media collectors are film. Now, while I agree with that, I feel like the tone is shifting, and it could just be like economically right now, because we're in the middle of this giant pandemic. We're in the middle of this giant period of inflation. We're in this giant labor shortage. That's not really a labor shortage. It's, owners trying to not pay people enough. And a lot of people are barely making ends meet right now. So the ones that are very vocal about owning and buying a lot, they I don't know, it seems like their attitude seems to be shifting towards again, I don't want to put people down, but it seems like it's getting more negative. Sardis says, my cat just knocked over my rolling tray. I love the stories with your cat. And that's why in my intro, one of them is about Sardis's cat's asshole. Lissa brought up Criterion's release of Marlon Rake's short films had a book explaining his life and death and made me appreciate his work so much more. I don't think I have that release, and it's been on my want list for so long. Let's see. Dave just binge watched the Netflix Resident Evil show. Never played the game, so not colored by expectations. Not bad. A lot of people hate it. Kubrick Lover, what's going on? Hey, don't have a region-free player. Heard you say that you should have one. I can't agree. I'm satisfied with my US player. I don't mean to... Oh, that's not offending me. By all means, do what's best for you. But all I mean is if you are going to be a collector and you're really wanting to go out there and get some of these releases to save the most money, you got to invest a little bit at the beginning, because there are a lot of stuff that is out of print here or expensive here that you can get for literally like a handful of pounds from the UK or Germany. Obviously, it would be euros in Germany, but you can get stuff overseas much cheaper sometimes. And there are other things like if you're a big 3D fan, we're not producing a lot of 3D here, but 3D is still big overseas. And like a lot of people love these Marvel titles in 3D, and they're not getting released here. I think it's the brand new Spider-Man film is only getting released in 3D in Australia, something like that. It's odd, but yeah, to find these obscure films, you got to be able to go region free sometimes. One example, if you love Shaw Brothers, Amazon, I think it's Amazon Germany right now, is having a buy 6 for 30 euros sale. And they all have English subs, and they're region B locked. So if you want those Shaw Brothers titles, it's the cheapest place that you can find them. And for some of them, they don't have releases anywhere else. So there you go. Shaw Brothers, if you're into Shaw, go check out Amazon. I think it's amazon.de right now. I completely agree there, Antoine. All movie collectors are movie lovers, just to what degree? And do they love the packaging or the film itself, or the bonus features or a director or whatever? But like I always say, there is always something there for you to appreciate, because every single film has been somebody's favorite film. Anyways, I think that's all I got for tonight, everybody. It's got kind of ranty at the end. Didn't mean for it to. This has been an interesting conversation, and I am very interested in seeing where the next year takes us, especially with people feeling like the market is saturated. I think that's an important thing to discuss, especially as we're getting announcements that are, gosh, each week I go over like 20 announcements. And even if it's only 20, that's still 80 a month. That's so much. I have not seen Local Hero, Kubrick. I've not heard much good about it. All right, everybody. Thanks for your time. This will go up in podcast form tomorrow if you missed any form of this, but also the video's here forever. Again, I will mention the Patreon and say thank you to my patrons. There are so many of you that are out there watching this right now that I couldn't do this without you, genuinely. I'm not, making any real money doing this or anything, but I appreciate you, and recouping some of what I've spent on this is great. Sardis, the interview tomorrow should be dropping about 3:15 p.m. Central. 3:15 p.m. Central. You know what? I'll throw it out there right now. The interview tomorrow, since there's still 35, 40 of you watching, Third Window Films. They are a smaller label, and I sat down with the one person behind Third Window Films and deep dived into everything that they've done, and it's a very, very interesting listen. and highly suggest you take a look at Third Window Films. But deep dive in that interview tomorrow, and I think you might get a genuine appreciation for what goes into their releases. All right, everybody. See you all next time. All my patrons, I hope to see you on Sunday at our watch along. We'll hang out then. As I always say, from one collector to all of you, have a good night, y'all.